You show me what you got. I'll tell you where to put it.
I'm pulling them right now because it feels good.
Oh, I mean, Finnan really is a fucking babe. I mean, the accent.
Welcome the fuck back, Pot Coven. We have missed you so much. I have missed you. I assume my Jays have missed you guys as well. We had some great technical issues. Life is just slapping us right in the titties, and we're just kind of rolling with it. So anyway, we are going to finish up our block of cult episodes, and today I'm super excited about learning about this Oregon-based cult, and Jess is going to tell us all about it.
Real quick, I just want to say that I can't believe you've never called us your Jays before, or the Jays.
Okay, here's a creepy thing. So not only do I have you two as my Jays, but my two in-person best friends are also Jays, and I'm just like, this is getting weird. So, oh well.
There's some sort of message there. I have no idea what it is.
And you're all just like the realest bitches I could ever imagine. So I fucking love it. I'm blessed. Blessed with all the J's. So yeah, my J's.
Whew, on that note, we're going to be talking about Osho today. And he actually did not start in Oregon. He is from India. He was born there December 11th, 1931. So that makes him like a Sag.
Yeah, December 11th, 1931. That's a Sag.
Mm-hmm. He's the eldest of 11 children, and he lived with his grandparents until he was 7 when his grandfather died, and then he went to move in with his parents. Not sure why he didn't live with his parents, but that's what happened. Apparently, while he was living with his grandparents, there was like no rules. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and it was described as a very carefree period of time in his life. At the age of 15, he lost his cousin and love interest to a tragic death. And because of the loss of his grandpa and his love interest cousin, he became very preoccupied with death. And he was described as very intelligent in school, but was focused on things like hypnosis, the occult, and yoga. He was kicked out of multiple colleges for being disruptive. And then in 1955, he finally got his bachelor's in philosophy, and then in 1957 got his master's in philosophy. And then he started teaching at a college, but was quickly asked to transfer because he was noted as being harmful to the students' character, their religion, and their morality. They thought he was dangerous. So they're like, transfer and go somewhere else.
Wow. Wild boy.
Yeah. So when he transferred, he was promoted to a professor at this next college. Apparently, they really liked him. And through that time, he was traveling through India as well and speaking on how he believed capitalism and science to be the keys to success, and socialism ultimately was not something that worked. And during this time, he was also very critical of Orthodox Indian religions, so he kind of steered clear of those kinds of teachings. As he was speaking throughout India, he attracted a small but loyal following that would eventually end up paying him for their spiritual advice. And because of this work, he was able to actually leave his job at the college in 1966. In 1970, he started what people refer to as a cult of Neo-Cenoceans. So that was the name of his followers.
Not
and then
in
1971, he changed his name to the Bhagwan Sri Ranish. And in 74, he developed asthma and diabetes and was able to travel less often, so he centralized in one location. Yeah, so he started building a religious community, and it was described as being very emotionally charged, exciting, and intense, and it attracted a lot of Westerners, so us, Americans, and then I think there was a lot of Australians that navigated to the commune in India. He specialized in group therapy that involved sexual encounters and physical aggressions and prevalent drug use. And it had been noted that there were several members that were injured during these practices.
Oh.
So people would buy in to live in these communes, and then they were able to work in the community, but they worked for free. And oftentimes the people selected as supervisors were antagonist type personalities, much like a lot of us deal with in our 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In 1981, they had around 30,000 followers. And at this time, he adopted a second in command, a woman named Ma Hanan Sheila. And her husband, so during this time when he adopted her in as his second, they were looking for a bigger space and were having a hard time finding it in India. So her husband actually bought around 64,000 acres near a small town in Oregon called Antelope. That's when they moved over here. So he officially moved to Oregon in August of 81. In 82, the commune becomes a city that they name Rajeshpuram. And so this new city commune thing causes a lot of conflict with the residents of Antelope and the surrounding areas, like almost immediately. And it's said that his followers, the Senosans, were very combative. That's what the locals reported. There were complaints about how they were using their land, whether or not they were going to be growing crops, if they were redirecting water, the buildings and what they were going to be used for, and sewer systems, what kind they were going to have. Some of those things make sense because, like, the water systems affect everybody, not just the city that you're in. So those kinds of things, it makes sense. But then Oregon has these, like, very strict building codes, like, that are almost ridiculous. So some of these things that they were getting in trouble for at the beginning, it's like, well, are they just using their land to take care of themselves, or were they trying to, like, take things away from the residents of that area? So that's not something that's like for sure this is what's happening. It's, you can kind of like take what you will from that. So the residents of the surrounding areas began to take legal action to dissolve, because this was not actually considered a religious group here in Oregon. It was considered to be a corporation. They took on that. And the residents described them as being dangerous, immoral, a religious cult, and a threat to public safety. Around this time, he gave full power of attorney to Sheila, and Roshni stopped speaking openly with his followers and started communicating through daily drive-bys. He would wave. They would stand in a row, and he would wave at them daily.
In one of his Bentleys?
A Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce,
What
there
the
we go.
hell?
He actually had 93 Rolls Royces, and his followers wanted him to have a different Rolls Royce for every day of the year. So that was what they were building towards.
Oh my
What?
gosh.
What the
insane.
fuck? What's wrong with people? Sorry. No judgment, cult followers.
After a bit of time, the residents taking legal action on them, they're basically like, well, okay, well, let's take political control over this area. There are more of us than there are of you, or there could be more of us than there are of you. So they started busing in homeless individuals to come and live there so that they could register and vote as residents to sway the vote away from the original residents of Antelope. And this worked for a little bit, and ultimately when the plan failed, they abandoned those homeless to the surrounding areas.
They're just like, be free. Like, what the fuck? It's like somebody
They're-
abandoning their pet or something. They're just like, okay, go live in the wild now. What? The
We'll
fuck?
save you. We'll save you. You helped us a little bit and it didn't work, but now you can't be here. Just go.
Okay, we
Right.
don't have space for you after all. Bye. They're like, how do we get back? I don't know. What the fuck? Sorry, this is just a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
I was not
There's
prepared
more.
for all the wildness, I guess. Ooh.
So, moving along to 1984, Rajneesh finally began speaking in public again after a dispute between his management team. So, Sheila and her direct team were sent away for Europe, and they kind of like had this like lovers quarrel thing going on. Like, you're crazy. No, you're crazy. No, she's on drugs. No, he's on drugs. He's going to kill himself if this doesn't work out. No, she's going to kill her. And it was like just this back and forth of like who did these things. And she referred to herself as an empress. And he's like, yeah, but I gave her all of that. So it was definitely this like just bickering between ex-lovers. And he does state at one point, I never had sexual intercourse with that woman. She wanted to, but we did not.
She's a spitfire though. I mean,
Oh,
I see why he gave her power, but you don't want to quarrel with Sheila. She's going to get what she's going to get.
Oh, which is probably why I actually would not have ever given her power.
Exactly.
Yep, fair enough.
So after Sheila left, she was accused of multiple crimes such as bioterror attacks using salmonella, wiretapping, and many other things. So Rajneesh allowed for law enforcement to come in and investigate so that she could be taken down. And they did end up being able to get convictions on her. But it also left the door open for them to gather intel to convict him. So in 1985, he was convicted of conspiracy to evade immigration laws.
Okay.
All right. Whatever gets you the guy, I guess.
That's the charge, but okay.
Well, at some point, where is it? He definitely talks a lot about like being the rich man's guru and this being a corporation over a religion. Here it is. At some point in 83, to avoid immigration problems for followers, he starts Rajneeshism as the core belief, this religion that they're all following. So like all that before that, there was no religion. It was just a like free love, life tantra, that kind of thing.
That was like their tax evasion fucking umbrella or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I get it.
You probably won't be surprised to hear this, but I pulled up his birth chart and he has 4 Capricorn placements.
Oh, yeah, not surprised at all.
He's got a Capricorn moon and Venus and Mercury and Saturn in the 7th and 8th houses. So, yeah, no wonder he's the rich man's prophet.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, shit. Okay, so
Astrology
then
don't lie.
in 85, before his conviction or during his conviction, he described the religion as being a religionless religion.
Okay.
So
sure.
I kind of get that on a degree because it's kind of like the theory, I'm going to call this a church and we're going to follow all the same rules that you're going to follow. It's basically going to be a corporation, but we have to call it a church so that we get some of these other things that you don't get by being a corporation, but you still get all the perks of being a corporation. I think it's somewhere along those lines, if that makes sense. So after he was convicted in 85, he takes a private jet headed towards Bermuda. They stop somewhere in like the southeast part of America. I don't remember the country or the state. But while refueling, he was arrested. And he took an Alfred plea, which helped him maintain his innocence, but still convicted him. I don't necessarily know how all of that works. He urged his followers to marry to be able to stay in America. And part of his indictment involved him having to go back to India and not be allowed to return to America for 5 years. So in 86, he arrived in India, and then he started trying to build more groups in other countries like Switzerland and Italy, and Uruguay and other places, and was quickly kicked out of most of them before being able to like really get something started.
Mm-hmm.
In 1989, he changed his name to Osho and accused some of his followers of using evil magic to harm him. And then on January 19th, 1990, he dies suspiciously at the age of 58. That motherfucker looks so old for him to only be 58 when he died. By the way.
Interesting.
If you don't know, go look it up. But his cause of death was noted as cardiac arrest. However, it is stated that the examining doctor never actually examined his body before signing the death certificate, and then his remains were immediately cremated. So there was like some suspiciousness around to that. So I found him to be most known for his cult of personalities, which is use of mass media, propaganda, spectacle, patriotism, governmental organized demonstration and rallies to create an idealized, heroic, and worshipful image of a leader through unquestioning flattery and praise. And so his religion was much like self-enlightenment and free love. That's what it was like founded in. But he was very into having authority, sex practices, and ideology about the end of the world. He predicted it a few times. And getting wealthy was always part of the plan. So followers would give him all of their money. He believed humans were a biological machine acting out impulses held in the unconscious mind, and they needed to transcend their machine state. And sexual liberty? I wrote lib, so I'm trying to remember the exact lib word I wrote.
Liberation?
Liberation is the exact word I was thinking of. So sexual liberation was important in receiving that goal, or in reaching the goal of transcending the machine state. And he believed that society repressed sexual behavior, and it led to most of the problems that we deal with in society. So he differed from most cult leaders in the fact that he wasn't so concerned with himself having all of the sex. He wanted all of his followers to have sex whenever, however, very tantra-based existence. And tantra sex practice based, because like tantra is just energy. So like a flower and a bee interacting, that's tantra. Life is. And he believed that exploitation was not necessarily evil, and he used it to awaken his followers. And he stated this in front of a camera before. So his personality was said to be very charismatic, hypnotic, non-judgmental. He radiated energy and awoken possibilities within others, and that allowed them to feel very trusting of him. He was known as a comedian with grandiose ideas of fame and success, and he was probably narcissistic. He was noted to say on the subject of his religion cult group that to anyone that cannot experience it, it will look like a con.
He's not wrong.
I was gonna say, hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, he's a Sagittarius sun, a Capricorn moon, and a Gemini rising. So yeah, definitely makes some sense there, and just hella Capricorn placements with a few Aries placements. I mean, he's got his North Node in Aries, and his Uranus, which is retrograde, and Lilith as well. strong Capricorn Aries energy with all the charm and wit of Sag and Gemini. Yeah, it's a dangerous little combo.
Yikes.
For a power hungry dude, you know.
Yeah. Especially with such a wild childhood, like not really having structure with that, like, you know, leaving Sag and Gemini to raise Capricorn unfettered, like, oh God.
It's wild. It's wild out there, boys. So I'm gonna run through, I mean, you answered these questions, but I'm gonna run through and ask the questions for anyone if you don't remember, because it's been a hot minute since the first one, but I think I had like 7 questions that I worked with for the Manson cult. You know, so we could like compare and contrast the difference between cults. So the Manson cult was, the first question is, what is their core belief? And the Manson cult was like apocalypse, race war. What would you say is the core belief of the Osho cult?
It was very much like this like sense of family and belonging is like, and spiritual enlightenment. Like, I'm going to understand myself and the universe and these things. And so, like, it was very self-help oriented, but you were paying into it. And so then also, I think, would be the Rajneeshism, the religiousless religion. Sure, you were also being able to, like, now avoid immigration because of your religion, but it also, part of that religionless religion is them having the ability to be like, this is my beliefs, and I am allowed to believe whatever I want to believe, and this sanction gives me the freedom to do that.
Yeah, definitely appealing for Americans, you know, where we do very much enjoy our individuality. So being like, here's a religion where you can believe what you believe, and that's the religion. There you go. So did they have a book or manifesto or anything of the like?
So I believe that there was more than one book. I know that at some point they renounced all of their books, and I don't know which ones or anything like that. I actually have one of the books that maybe it's still whatever for his teaching stuff. It's called the Book of Secrets. And
it looks very cool.
It is fucking huge and full of just so many lessons. And so, like, at the beginning of each section, they'll have, so, like, this is chapter 5 techniques of attentiveness. And then it will have the sutras. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions or, like, I don't know, thought bubbles. And then he'll go into and focus on them, and he'll explain them in, like, 2 or 3 different sorts of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I've read Osho. I've definitely read his books. He's got a lot of books out there. I've read 2 of them. I can't remember the first one, but I've also read, I don't think I ever finished it, but I've read a decent chunk of The Mustard Seed, which is pretty dope because he goes through the story of Jesus Christ, and just kind of explains it from the more Eastern point of view. And like trying to decipher what, you know, the original context was of everything. It's definitely very interesting to see those 2 worlds combine. I mean, they're not even that different, but to hear about Jesus Christ from someone who's raised in Eastern religions, definitely very cool. I enjoy Osho's books with any book, but also whenever I read anything from Eastern traditions, I always read with a grain of salt, because you'll just be having a good time, really just like vibing with some spiritual shit, and then they just throw in something so fucking sexist. Sometimes it be like that.
That's how I feel about the Dalai Lama. I'm just like, he says all this good stuff, and then some shit will come out of his mouth, and I'm just like, and you're still a fucking man. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good with...
No one is perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's probably pretty important to talk about this during this day and age, and we're going to watch our astounded spiritual leaders, the Dalai Lama, I don't know all the names of them, whatever, I can picture the Buddhist monks and all of those types of things. They're going to be doing things that you might not agree with. And then you're going to be like, okay, well, I thought we were all on the same page, but now we're not. Because we're in this like duality fight almost. That's not the word that I wanted to use. The polarities are like coming at each other right now. And it's taking our spiritual leaders and ripping them more apart as well, to where we're going to have to be more discerning about our own truths and about what it is we're wanting to follow and do in this world. So when you hear people like Osho or Eastern teachers and they're being sexist, or you would hear the Dalai Lama saying things that are just so far left field, and you're like, where is that even coming from? That's your point, to not be like following them blindly, but to be able to question it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like the most powerful tool we can have, is to absorb this information and then be like, oh, haha, not gonna take this one. And also it reminds you, like, this person is not a god. This person does not deserve to be on a pedestal, but if they're teaching interesting information, I'll be there for class, and I'm gonna take what works, and I'm gonna criticize what doesn't. I mean, if it's like, bigotry and anything that's, unfair towards, groups of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can fuck off with that shit. Okay, next question. Does magic play a role in their beliefs?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, you could argue manifestation, but I don't think it was like on a realm where they're like, let's all get together and manifest this and whatever.
Yeah.
So, power of intent, but other than that, not really.
Yeah. Okay. So then what were their spiritual practices? If you just had to put it in like a few sentences, what was their main spiritual practices, I guess, is the question I want to ask.
They would
for
get
him.
together in like groups and have almost like a group therapy, but it would start with like a lesson, and then it would turn into like this tantric yoga / orgies, depending on, yeah.
Ooh,
So.
that sounds fun.
And drugs were a part of this, but it wasn't like a primary focus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny, because I can see in my notes where I'm pulling up these questions that, yeah, for the Manson cult, it was that drugs were their spiritual practice, namely LSD. But I mean, it makes sense. I was reading about it, and I'm reading the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and yeah, he's talking about getting to a certain state with your mind where you have superhuman powers, and there's like 4 different ways to go about it. I can't remember all of them, but yeah, he's like, yes, you can take acid or mushrooms and get there and have these powers, but it's temporary. It's coming from an outside place. But if you meditate and do all this stuff, then you can experience it all the time. But yeah, it was cool to see him talk about it as well. Like, if that makes you feel good, go for it. But yeah. Anyway, I don't remember where like the point of this was going, but It's common. Drugs help us get to superhuman places, for sure. Okay. Next question is, what did the followers of this quote unquote cult gain from joining?
So they did gain that sense of family, the ability to like climb up the generational ladder within the community, and then the like security of what the idea of it being a corporation brought to them. And then they also did gain like immigration status if they were originally from India or from Australia or wherever in the world they were from in the coming year.
Yeah, that immigration status is definitely a good pull. That's one way to do it. Pretty easy.
Because then you get all those rich people from everywhere in the world that are just like, I want a place where I belong, and I feel like I'm like raising my, for lack of a better term, I'm raising my vibrations and I'm becoming this spiritual, amazing person.
Yeah.
And I'm paying for it.
Right. I mean, it's always an endearing idea to live in a commune, a village type of, scenario with like-minded people. So.
And everyone always says, this one's different.
It's true.
Sometimes it is. But like,
that's what
different
they
in what
say
way?
too.
Different
Yeah.
in what way?
Yeah,
So,
how different? Which
I mean,
one
in this
communist
one,
sexist, one is racist, they're different.
at least not everyone's forced to fuck Osho. They can all fuck whoever they want. Like, that's
True.
cool. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
a
that's
nice
more
little spice.
appealing.
And he's not forcing them to give all of their money. They're like, here, I'm making this generous donation so that we can continue to move forward with these ideas that I'm like so behind as well, which I can get behind that too. It's when they're like, oh, well, I have to keep giving more and more and more, and I'm going to give them all that I have because this is all that I've ever wanted. And then that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
That's
starts
one
to
of
take the self out of it.
Yeah. That's
Well,
one
I
of the
think-
things they always say about cults too, is like everyone looking in is all like, oh, I would never fall for that. But then like if you look at it, it's like, well, but
Well, and I think most, not all, but I do think that most cults start from a good place, or at least, it's a benign idea. And I think some people become cult leaders on accident for sure, because once you start like preaching and teaching about, your spiritual beliefs and other people are jiving with it, people tend to kind of worship you. And what is your ego going to do when people start worshiping you? That shit is going to get so big and it's going to get so attached. And then like any of your spiritual, your spirituality that was there, like the ego is going to be like, oh, well, I'm so much better than everyone. I'm the cult leader. At least that's what I think.
yeah.
Been working with ego a lot recently, so it's always on my mind.
Oh my gosh, as I was going through this, I was like, well, what would I do if I was a cult leader? Because I'm like, I could easily like teach some stuff. I think that part sounds easy. But my core beliefs don't sound cult-like at all. So
Well,
it was very hard to like make that.
yeah. Well, I would ask you to elaborate. However, I just remembered what we're going to do for the 4th episode, so we will get around to that later.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Foreshadowing.
I definitely forgot about it, but I'm back. I remember now.
Woo, it's gonna be good. Good thing we got those 7 questions. That's my template.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Look at us all
Thank
together.
goodness. I know. That was too long.
It was a
I'm
long
okay
time.
with taking breaks, but that was especially because it wasn't
it's
like
too much.
planned, It was just like we just could not fucking record. Like that was horrible. Like I don't like this.
It did open up room for the lives though, and that was pretty fun, and I think we should do
Yeah.
more of them.
That was fun.
Yeah,
That was
those
fun.
were fun. I actually I couldn't record an episode of True Crime Astrology last week because the internet in my room, my office, my new office, it was not good. So I was like, oh geez, at least we're not recording Power of 3 quite yet. So fixed it all in time, luckily. So we didn't have to imagine if like it was all good with Jess, and then I was like, sorry, I can't.
JK. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like almost like a worldwide upgrade going on with internet, because my phone service, my internet, and lots of people I know too have just had like the fucking weirdest and worst issues with connectivity, and like I can barely make phone calls, and I've called my phone company like 3 times, and I have friends who are like, I can't get internet at my house, but it says it's all good, and I'm just like, I feel like there must be like maybe the companies are doing like upgrades or some shit like that right now, because I'm just like, this is so annoying, but it feels like there's like a missing pin in the fucking thing.
They're all switching to the 5G.
Yep. 5G.
I don't need 5G. I got 5D. That's the song.
How is it?
Is that on your new LP?
No, it's like a conscious trap, and it's the.
Oh, is it?
Have I shared that with you guys? That
No.
I can fix the world with my crystals. Master astral projection with my crystals.
I love
so
that.
Funny. Is it on TikTok?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Just go to YouTube. It's like a full-length song, and
Oh
they
my God.
and one of their like I don't know if this is the chorus or just like, I don't know. I don't write songs, but they're like 444, 222. I don't know. I'm just getting into all the shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Go listen to this high vibe trap music.
Wicka,
It's
wicka,
funny.
wicka, high
Funny.
five.
They are funny. They're kind of hot too.
Nice. It's
I
always
love when
nice.
that happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people do become hotter when they're funny as well. So
True dat. That is so spot on. That's why I fell in love with my husband, because he was cute and he had like, I love shoulders. I'm big on like upper chest. I'm just like, hey, what up? So I already thought he was cute, but then he started like telling me jokes and shit, and I was just like, and I'm your person forever. You're never leaving me.
So look to the bio information on this recording, and you'll find a link to Conscious Trap and Ella's husband. Just kidding on Ella's husband.
He would fucking love that so much. He's such a slutty Libra. He loves it when people hit on him.
Might as well open it up. Let the witchy girls in on it. Ella, you are muted.
Oh, damn. So muted. He would love that. He's such a slutty Libra.
I love it that you were talking and then you muted yourself and you kept talking.
I don't know how that happened. I think I must have like brushed it like with my hand or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, party people. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Hopefully you guys had a lot of time to catch up on past episodes. We appreciate all your listens. We appreciate you guys sticking around for the technical difficulties, but it's Aries season. We're back. We technically, missed we didn't miss it because time and, just because we weren't putting a podcast doesn't mean we missed it, but we didn't have an episode up for our 2-year anniversary, but it was in March, right? The start of Aries season marks the birthday of Power of Three. So thank you guys for listening, for
2 years strong.
Yeah, for enjoying the ridiculous conversations that we have. We will be back next week talking about the next cult. Ella will be teaching us about the next one. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Never mind. I didn't give any hints about it, but it's a big one. It's a real big one, big, powerful one. So
You'll like it. Listen in.
It's going to be fun.
Ella's also very excited.
Yes, I am. It's one of my personal favorites. Like, it's probably my top favorite. Well, my one thought, spoiler alert that it's not this one. My one thought was to do like the QAnon cult, but I feel like it's just too early. Like, I'm like, there's still so much more we can learn about it. But I did start watching a show about it on, I think it's HBO. And I'm like, okay, I understand how people fell for it. Like, not necessarily the Trump thing, but like some of the information where I'm just like, okay, I can see how you could be like, fuck this, and like, just kind of end up down the rabbit hole and be like, how'd I get here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think with that one, it would probably be harder to like pinpoint some things, not just because it's newer, but because there's so many fragmented areas of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it exists primarily on the internet, whereas the other cults we've been talking about were IRL. You had to be face to face with people. So yeah, definitely would be an interesting study, but yeah, I think you gotta wait till there's a couple more documentaries out.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, let me gather some intel first before I go spouting off my info about this. But yeah, so we're really excited about next one.
We got to get YouTube videos up from people that believed it that are renouncing it, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, like people from the inside who are like, oh, I made a mistake, or even if they still believe it and they're still just like, I'll tell you about it. Why not?
Yeah, I've seen maybe like 2 TikToks in the past couple months of people that were like, I was QAnon. Let me tell you about it. And it's always so interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, no shame. These days we're not doing shame anymore. Just give us the info. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're not judging.
I fucking love the way people's brains work and like, how did you get to that point? That's pretty interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'll watch the documentary. Obviously.
Give me all the docs.
All right, you guys know where to find us. On Instagram, it is Power of Three Podcast. You can also email us at powerofthree.witchpodcast@gmail.com. Our Patreon's been sitting a little quietly for a while because we just took a full-on break pretty much. But we're still posting on Instagram, and we're getting everything up and running now. So definitely head to Instagram. And yeah, if you want to send us any messages on there or via our Gmail, that's perfect. We'd love to hear from you. And until then, we'll catch you on the flip side. Keep cool, my babies. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. This episode of the Power of Three podcast has been brought to you by BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online platform with licensed therapists who are ready to help you wherever you might exist across the multiverse. Now, you must be 18 years or older to use this service, and BetterHelp is not a crisis line, but you can start communicating with someone within 24 hours. They have financial aid available to qualifying individuals. This is a secure, convenient, and affordable platform for your counseling services. Use the URL betterhelp.com/witchy to get your first week free.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked at-home health testing system. Let's Get Checked is all about personal health testing, making healthcare and health screening open and patient-led, empowering people to use technology in a simple but powerful way, and giving greater control to their personal health. They have a range of tests, including STD testing across all genders, fertility tests, celiac tests, general wellness, and more. Use the code WITCHY on letsgetchecked.com at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
This Power of Three episode has been brought to you by Tonic Vibe CBD products. Tonic's original CBD blends are handcrafted in small batches with purposeful plant-based ingredients. Using herbs like ashwagandha and superfoods like black seed oil, Tonic elevates the benefits of CBD to create a powerful way to heal the body, calm the mind, and restore balance. Their hemp-derived CBD and botanical blends create a completely holistic method to help you feel your best and #FixYourVibe. Use code WITCHY at tonicvibes.com for 10% off your order.
This episode of the Power of Three podcast is brought to you by Shock Rubs, because sex is magic. Shock Rubs is the first crystal sex toy company. Their sex toys are made from natural crystals that bring a sense of sacredness to your playtime. These beautiful handcrafted tools are created with the intention of opening oneself up to the healing properties that crystals provide. All toys are body safe, made from the earth, and provided with love. They create harmony in mind, body, and spirit, remove blocks caused by sexual trauma, create deeper intimacy with the self and with your partner, and even encourage self-awareness and mindfulness. So use the code WITCHYWISDOM on shockrubs.com at checkout for 10% off your purchase today.